Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today we're tackling a question that, well, it seems like a lot of you are curious about, judging from what we've seen. It's that classic modern situation. Why does my friend see my messages but not reply quickly? Or maybe they just send really short answers. And for this, we're looking at some excerpts from a YouTube video transcript. The channel's called Read a Pill. We need to be clear up front, this source has a very particular viewpoint, quite strong opinions on modern relationships, digital stuff.
Absolutely. And just to set the stage for this deep dive, our aim here isn't to say this is right or this is wrong. We're here to really explore the claims this specific source makes. What does it say is going on when communication feels, unbalanced, especially between men and women online? We'll definitely touch on some of its more surprising, maybe even controversial ideas.
Okay, let's get into it then. So the source kicks things off by describing how much life now kind of revolves around social media. It's become this huge tool for communication, and the source notes, particularly for women.
Right. It argues that, think about it, before social media, maybe women got attention mostly from guys nearby, like in their neighborhood or whatever. But social media just blew that wide open. Suddenly, it claims, women have this access to talk to loads of men at the same time.
Okay, and here's where it gets pretty intense. The source uses a really provocative phrase for this. It talks about an inflation of free electronic attention, leading to what it actually calls attention prostitutes.
Yeah, it's blunt. And building on that, the source asserts that women, even if they're in a serious relationship, maybe even engaged, often keep what it calls multiple hidden relationships going, like a plan B. It kind of contrasts this with men, saying they're often more maybe naive, usually just sticking with plan A.
Wow, okay, so let's call it the controversial framework it sets up. Then it moves into the first big reason it gives for why someone might delay replying to messages. It says, women play the game. What exactly does it mean by playing the game?
Well, the source explains this by linking it to what it calls feminist movements. It claims these movements paint men as hunters and women as prey. And so the argument goes, women deliberately wait maybe, 2 or 3 hours before replying, or they give really short answers. The goal, according to this source, is to keep the man chasing, keep him in that hunter role.
Right. So the source sees this as like a power play.
Essentially, yeah. It calls it a psychological war. The woman makes the man the chaser. She controls things, makes sure he's putting in like 100% effort while she maybe puts in very little or none.
Huh. And it brings in other references too.
It does. It mentions something about the greatness of women's cunning, citing a holy book reference, according to the transcript. And it's very direct in saying that any relationship where only one person is doing all the work, that's toxic. Straight up.
Okay, so that's the game-playing angle. But the source offers another reason too, right? There's something about low attraction, or if she's already involved with someone else.
Exactly. That's the second explanation it gives. If a woman isn't starting conversations or her replies are super brief, this channel argues it's pretty simple. Either she's not that attracted to the guy or she's already seeing someone.
And this is where that idea of the waiting list comes in.
Or being kept like an alternative CV, as the source puts it, just in case the main option falls through.
Okay. And the source claims women don't really mind doing this.
It claims they generally don't mind wasting a man's time and that they probably won't admit they're in a relationship unless there's absolutely zero attraction. Then the source says she might mention it just to get rid of him, but if there's some attraction, she keeps him on standby. The source even throws in this observation about women silencing their phones when they're out with these standby guys to get free meals. And it makes this very definitive statement. Desire is not negotiable.
Wow. Okay, let's move to the third point from the source. It talks about communication tactics, specifically mixed signals. How does it describe that?
So it paints this picture. A woman might be really warm, affectionate, super engaged when they're together in person. The source calls this a love bomb. But then as soon as they're apart, she goes cold, distant, back to what it calls her old habits.
And the source sees this as deliberate.
Yeah, it frames it as psychological manipulation. The idea, according to this view, is to get the man hooked, addicted, make him chase her, and importantly, prompt him to spend money on dates, those free meals. Again, just to get that in-person affection.
And it also connects this to drama.
Right. It asserts that many women it deems manipulative actually thrive on relationship drama. It even references that American saying, no drama, mama, but then flips it quite surprisingly. It suggests if the woman isn't creating drama, maybe the man should. It's a very unusual take.
Definitely. Okay, this feels like a pivot point in the source's argument. It turns the focus onto the man. It asks, basically, why does the guy even care so much about these delayed replies? Why take it so personally?
And the answer it gives is, well, it calls it emotional immaturity, or maybe childhood trauma. It talks about an inner child that hasn't received enough emotional fulfillment. And this, the source claims, is why some men subconsciously look for women who are like their mothers or have those sort of maternal qualities.
Okay, so that connects to when guys say things like, I'll never find anyone like her after a breakup. The source would say it's because they saw their mother in her in some way.
That's the connection it makes, yeah. And it introduces this concept called the oneness phenomenon. Here's another controversial claim. It suggests some women actively study their partner's mother or fiance's mother and actually change their own personality to match hers. It calls these women psychological heroines, implying their manipulated traits become more important than, say, physical looks.
So the underlying message here from this read-a-pill perspective is, if you're the one asking why isn't she replying, the problem, according to the source, is actually your emotional immaturity.
That's the core argument. It says a balanced man wouldn't even be asking these questions. He wouldn't be bothered. It's a very direct challenge, isn't it? And it strongly advises men not to make any woman the absolute center of their world. It ends that thought very bluntly. Her name is the game.
Okay, so given all these dynamics it describes, what's the solution? How does the source suggest men should handle this?
It proposes what it calls the philosophy of non-attachment.
Non-attachment. What does that look like in practice, according to the source?
The core idea is summed up like this. My door is open. I'm comfortable at home. Whoever wants to stay, welcome. Whoever wants to leave, welcome. Basically detach. It argues the biggest mistake men make today is thinking they somehow own the woman they're with.
So let go of ownership. And it gives them direct advice, too.
Very direct. It says, always expect her to leave.
Always expect her to leave.
Yeah.
What?
And to really hammer this home, the source ends with one last, very pointed question for the listener. For you, it asks, imagine the woman you're currently involved with got a message right now from a huge celebrity. It uses the Moroccan artist Saad Lamjard as an example. Would she still take hours to reply to him? The implication is, well, probably not.
Right. A provocative way to end its point. So that really covers the main arguments from this specific source, the Read a Pill channel transcript. We've gone through his perspective on why replies might be delayed, the dynamics it claims exist, and it's pretty stark advice.
Yeah, it's a very singular, very forceful perspective. And thinking about these claims, things like playing the game, low attraction, emotional immaturity, and critically evaluating them, how might that shift how you, the listener, think about your own communication, your expectations and relationships? It's definitely a lot to digest.
It really is. A very interesting, if controversial, deep dive today. Thanks for joining us on this exploration, and we hope you'll keep diving into complex topics with us.